I was trying to move through and past that faster than my body would allow.
Yeah, you wanted a million and you show it. What you want, is it really that important? You've been on my mind.
Hi, Kimberly here. Thank you so much for coming in to watch another one of my Happy New You videos. I have been enjoying filming this series. It has provided me some introspection as much as I hope I'm providing for you. It's given me a time to just kind of think back and remember some things and just reflect on some of the things that have gotten me to where I am. And I got to admit, today is a bit of a more difficult subject for me than are the others. But yeah, I gotta say, proud of me that I'm sticking with this so far. I've already started going back to work. I'm tired. I had to remove my nails. I don't know if that's coming across, but throughout the winter break, I was able to wear fingernails. And I get back to work and I'm trying to type, and I'm not a person who learned to type. I'm going to call it flat hand. I kind of learned like with claws to type, and I just keep missing the keys and messing up. And so I was like, you know what? The nails have got to go. And I didn't even have very long nails, kind of like short almond. But I don't know, maybe over the summer I'm going to practice typing with nails or something. I don't know, because I do like the way my hands look much better. In my opinion, they look much better with nails on. So I guess to compensate for not having nails, I put on rings. But anyway, that's part of what I'm doing. I'm probably stalling because, like I said, this is a tough topic for me, but I think it's still an important one. And the topic that I want to get into today is making sure you're a healed person. Let's just say that. It's all about being healed, being happy, healthy, and healed, emotionally and things like that. What makes it hard for me is realizing that there was a time where all the things that were going on in my head that I thought I had under control weren't. And just to give you a little bit of background about me, I've shared this before, very much an underachiever. I'm not someone who puts forth effort in things that I don't personally deem worthy. Like if I think a person or a thing or something is worthy of a cause, then I'm going to go gung ho. But if it's like paperwork and stuff at my jobs, busy work and things that I can't be bothered. Even in school, as it pertained to learning, this is horrible to hear a teacher saying it, but in school, as it pertained to learning, I made sure I understood what the teacher or the professor was teaching, but now you want me to practice 50 math problems of whatever just to show that I knew how. I mean, I either knew it on the first three. I'll give you three, maybe five. I either knew it then or I don't. And so in that way, I was an underachiever. And so what I discovered later about myself is that as a person like that, you have a tendency to also overestimate yourself. And the way in which I was overestimating myself was that, oh, I got this. I'm good. Yeah, go about the business of your business. But, I've got this. And so let me just not beat around the bush and be more specific. I went through a time some years ago where I had to go to the doctor. I was not feeling well. Went to the doctor and I said, I'm having some trouble getting things to, go down there. I can't get things going down there. Actually, that sounds like I'm talking about my libido or something. I'm not. I was trying to avoid being too graphic, but the reality is I went to the doctor because I was constipated. So I couldn't get things to go, that kind of go. And I was like, I don't know what it is. I've eaten what I should eat. I've been drinking the water that I should drink. I think I had even started taking some Marilex and things like that. And, it was just little bits. And so I finally got to the doctor and they do a whole check of me and all of that business. And he starts talking about things that I knew were wrong. He was talking about elevated blood pressure and cholesterol issues and da-da-da. it got to the point where I was leaning over like, whose name is at the top of that chart? It's not mine. Because in the history of ever have I never had a problem with the things that he was listing. And yet they were saying these things about me? Oh, okay, all right. And so he asked if anything was going on, if there had been any changes and things like that. And I was like, no, I mean, I'm got my job. And he was like, what is your job? And I said, I'm a teacher. Oh, yeah, that can be stressful. I mean, but I've been doing this for a little minute, so I don't think it's that. And they were like, any other changes, any life-altering changes, any deaths in the family? And I was like, well, yeah, I mean, my father died, but he died, some months ago. And really, that was it. That was exactly the problem that I was having. In my mind, I thought, I've got it. I understand. My father was sick. He's in a better place. I'm happier for him now. He's not suffering. All the platitudes you say. And I did feel them. I genuinely felt happy for my father. But for Kymberly, I was still very sad. I missed him very much. I'm feeling sad even talking about it. But I was trying to move through and past that faster than my body would allow. And there are just things that, even as your mind and things like that are moving and functioning, I could go to work and I would teach and I would laugh and I could do the things that kids needed me to do, and I could support my family in the way that my family needed. And I thought that because I was doing that, oh, let me see, I'm gonna cook, I'm gonna this, and I was keeping myself so busy and just doing all those things, and my body was saying, honey, no. Just to give you an idea of how much your body understands what even your mind, even your heart or whatever, are trying to ignore or trying to move through. To me, your body goes into automatic mode at times, so automatically I can teach because I've been teaching for a while. I can automatically cook these meals, I can tell jokes and do those things. But my body was still pulling back and just holding on to the stress. Actually, I was constipated, so my body was holding on to everything. But my body was still holding on to the things that were bothering me. And so a way that you can probably relate to this, is you ever just get up and you go to the kitchen or something, and you stand there and you're like, hey, what was that? Because you got your mind on other things, but your body knew where to go and your body's waiting on you to get it. Or even another case I can give you is if you've ever had a stressful situation or something come up and you got to get home, and you get in a car and then you look up and you're like, dang, I don't remember. Ooh, I hope I didn't run lights. I hope your body was on automatic mode. So you get that part of it, but and I got that too, but the part I didn't get was how your body holds on to all those stressors and things. And so the doctor suggested something very simple. The next time you think about your father or something, don't just keep going. Just sit there and honestly think about your father. Let your body and mind connect with that and remember and go through those things. And I did. And by the grace of God, I didn't need medication and I didn't need all of those things. I really needed to connect my mind and my body. So instead of just trying to move my body and force my body to do what I wanted my mind to do, which is keep busy, I let them connect and really experience the grief and the loss of that. I still feel it. I'll always feel it. There are times and issues and things that come up and I'm like, dang, Daddy never lied when he said this or that. And I still want to talk to him. In fact, to tell you how much the body goes into automatic mode, I had a habit, I should say, of anytime I talk to my mother, hang up, call my father. Anytime I talk to my father, do the same thing, call my mother. And years later, I remember talking to my mother, hung up, and I was like, oh, now I need to call. And what did I do? I sat there and I remembered some of our phone calls and all of those things. So yeah, the grief does still happen. It does get better for anyone who may have experienced a recent loss. It does get better for sure, but it doesn't ever completely go away. And I don't know that I want it to. In my family, we believe that a person's body may go, but that person, that spirit of the person never truly dies until the last person who knew and loved that person also dies, until their name is just said no more. So for that reason, I don't ever want to completely get over and past it. But let me get back into more of the healing. I didn't mean to segue that far into that, but just to talk about the importance of healing and how I knew about it early on. It's kind of a funny thing. I've always enjoyed reading. Maybe not when my teachers wanted me to read, but I always liked reading. And I can't read. You know what? I hadn't. If someone would have asked me what was the name of the book series, I wouldn't have known. But I used to read these books called Sweet Valley High. I'm pretty sure that's the name. If you're familiar with that, drop me a book emoji down below. But anyway, I used to read my little Sweet Valley High books and things like that. And sometimes I would read books while talk shows were on. And one day, for some reason, the talk show started overriding the book that I was reading, probably because they had so many books in the series. I mean, and they all pretty much ended the same way. But I started listening more attentively to the talk show than I was reading the book. And whatever they were talking about how your body needs to heal and you need to do things and get better. And this is even before the passing of my father. But anyway, I'm listening and they're talking about that. And so I remember I began reading books on healing based on what the talk shows were telling me. Why am I saying all of this? Well, because I know a lot of times people have an opposition to going to seek actual therapy and things like that. But first of all, I will say that is a very good thing. I come from a time when we were like, therapy? No, that's for crazy people. And I ain't crazy, I'm just sad, or I ain't crazy, I'm just mad or pissed even, or whatever it is that they were feeling. We always denounced the idea of being crazy and we just didn't need to go see anyone. But I'm saying that because healing is such an integral part of being a healthy person and things like that. And let me tell you this too. You don't have to be an overachiever and all that other stuff to think that you're okay when maybe you have some issues to work through. We were at my job a few years ago and we had trauma training. And so the person came and they were, facilitating the meeting, and they said, everyone get up, get up, get up. We're going to stand here in the middle of the room and we're going to talk about trauma. And if you've experienced the trauma that I mentioned, I need you to step on a certain side of the room. And so one of the things that they said is, if you're the product of a single parent home, step over here. If you remember seeing an act of violence, step over here. If you lost someone you love or a pet by the age of, and so you get the idea. We just kept stepping over. By the time we were done, there was, all of us, we're, what? Trauma? No, that's not us. But by the time we were done, there was not us. I'm lying. I almost lied. There was one person who was still standing over there. And honestly, I think she was laying, but whatever. I don't know her life, but she was still standing over. That's kind of hard for me to believe. Maybe not a single parent home, but no one died. No, okay, but whatever. And so what that did was it told us that, yeah, all of us experience trauma, and to some degree our bodies still hold that memory. Our bodies still hold on to that, like just like a smell, a candle, or a shirt and things like that. A certain scent can bring your body back to a time. Your body never truly completely forgets the trauma. It may hold on to it in different ways, it may react to it in different ways, but it just never completely forgets. And so it's important to kind of get that healed and get that out of you so that you're a healthy person. And I mentioned this before about how a person sees the world. It may start as an opinion, but however you really see the world and perceive it is how it really is. That becomes your truth. And if you're not healed from within, the way you see things going on in the world is going to be from a view of trauma. It's going to be from a lens of trauma, so that when you form friendships, you tend to form friendships out of trauma. We hear the term trauma bonding. They have a trauma bond. That's kind of new, but what we used to just call it is plain old fashioned misery loves company, right? And that's what that relationship is going to be, because you're forming it out of that trauma. If you're forming a loving relationship, but that loving relationship is also formed out of trauma. Let's say you grew up in that single parent household that the trauma facilitator mentioned, and you have daddy issues. Then when you connect with someone, if you haven't healed that, the way that that can show up is you may also have daddy issues. I've met men who grew up in single parent homes, and they had issues in terms of being very reliant on a woman to take care of them and things like that. I've seen women grow up in single parent homes, and they're overly dependent, like they don't want to lean on anyone for anything or at any point. And I just feel like if God wanted us to be that way, we'd all been born on an island. So we're supposed to be interdependent and things like, maybe not codependent, but interdependent and getting along and all of that. I think that's an important aspect. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about healing. I did not expect to go into it as deeply and as personally as I did, but hopefully that helps you to understand that we all do it. We all experience some form of trauma, but the part that we don't all do, and the problem of why I think so many of us have issues and problems is because we don't all go through the healing that we need. And so that's what I'm encouraging you to do. If it means saving up on a little bit of Starbucks, you don't buy a couple of cups of Starbucks this month and you save to get some professional help, I think that's good. Now, I will say this as far as what I said before, I don't need to see a professional. That's for crazy people. That used to be the old thinking that we had. I think that if you're going month after month, year after year, decade after decade, and all, you're doing too much. No one needs that. Well, let me not say that. There are people with mental health issues. So outside of an actual mental health issue, just checking on for your mental health, there's a difference. You don't need to go that much, but I think it's a good thing to just kind of go in and have that check. I know for me, sometimes I check in and talk with someone, and I feel I'm all the better for it. I haven't been constipated, since I've already said that and told you about it. I haven't been constipated in a very long time. Everything down there is flowing and going. My mind and my body are in fact connected. Some of the exercises I learned teach me to just, wait a minute, hold on, what's going on here? Process it, make a connection, understand it, and things like that. I do all of that still. And so I wouldn't be me if I didn't tell you something that I know that it's helped and healed me and not pass that along. But anyway, that's all for tonight. I hope it's pretty brief. Thank you so much for tuning into the series. I'll say that if I didn't already say that before. But I do need to say this little bit. As I do this series, Happy New You, my intent is to just do it Monday through Friday. I still do have my full-time job, so I won't be doing it on the weekend. I'm going to need a little bit of time just to kind of dial it back and, woo-saw and all the things. But I will do, what's this, Thursday. I've got one more to do this week, and I'm proud of me. Like, I'm really sticking with it. And then I'll see you after Friday. I've got another day. But I'll see you next week, hopefully in my next video. Please make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. And I'd love to hear any of your thoughts on what I said as it pertains to your journey for healing. I hope you are making sure that in 2024, you're not just physically glowing up. I know a lot of times people make these New Year resolutions, but make sure that you are connected and healthy and strong all throughout. All right, let that be my wish, my hope, and in fact, my prayer for you. With that said, thank you so much and take care.